Good evening, my rogue readers. My name is Erin Rogoff, and welcome to my booktube channel, where your host is bubbly and boisterous, and your co-host is currently on her walk right now. So, I have come a long way from the absolutely no straight-up romance novels to now actually falling in love with them. So, I will read anything by Kira Cass, or Susan Colasanti, or Abby Glines, or Sarah Desson, and I am loving every single book of theirs that I read, except Losing the Field by Abby Glines, because that was just a creepy book. I think it was one of the darkest she's written, and I can't wait to read the next book in her series. Anyway, I wanted to talk about 4 romance novels that I want to read soon and are youth friendly, so let's begin. So far we have The Crown by Kira Cass. It is a young adult fiction, dystopian fiction novel, and it is book 5 of the Selection series. And in that series we have The Selection, The Elite, The One, The Heir, and The Crown. And Evelyn Shriev must complete her own selection as her mother falls ill from a heart attack and her father falls into a mournful worry. So who will she choose as her husband? Will she even have one in her happily ever after? That remains to be seen. Far as what I think of the book so far, I was actually okay with the first 3 books of the Selection series, but I connect with Evelyn more than I connected with America, and I do like Evelyn more than America, even though I know that's switched in many cases. As far as similar books go, there is Delirium by Lauren Oliver, Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and The Jewel by Amy Ewing. Forgive me if I pronounce her name wrong, I do not know how to pronounce that. The next book we have is Making a Play by Abby Glines. If you know me, you know I am obsessed with the Field Party series. My favorite books in that series are Until Friday Night and After the Game, and Under the Lights I thought was a little overrated, and it was just very slow, and the love triangle didn't make sense. But with Losing the Field, I thought that was absolutely the darkest book in the series because of the creepy teacher, whose name is Coach D, and I have not read Making a Play yet, so I would really like to see how I like that too. And if I haven't already told you about it so much in other videos, Making a Play is a young adult fiction romance novel, and it is book 5 of the Field Party series. And in that series, we have So with the entire series, West loses his dad to cancer and Maggie lost her parents, but they found each other, and Gunnar found out his true parentage and healed somewhat with Willa by his side. And then Brady fell in love with Riley, the girl everyone thought was a liar just because she said that Gunnar's older brother attacked her and gave her a baby. And then Tallulah lost a ton of weight and found a ton of love from Nash. And now, what happens with Deaf Aurora and Riker? And yes, this is minor sign language. I know the basics. So when I do this, it means hello. And if I do this, it means I love you. And I can go on and on with what I know of ASL, but that's for another day. So the books in order of my favorite to least favorite are as follows. I'm sad to see the series end, but I have so much hope for more of Abby Glein's work. I have basically the rest of her books on my Kindle, but I haven't read those yet because I want to finish reading Making a Play. And I have to say, Abby Glines is an author who changed my life. That means so much to me what her work did for me just because I had an all-hate, no-love relationship in high school. I was tormented, harassed, bullied mercilessly, and I'm very open about my depression. I wanted to die. But now that I've read her books, I can read about high school again without having flashbacks. And what's more, I actually contacted my former bullies and I was telling them I forgive them. I really do. And now we actually are almost friends, and it's huge for me. So it's like, thank you, Abby Glines. You planted the seed that grew into a beautiful flower. So that's just me putting it poetically, I guess. Anyway, as for similar books, we have Nowhere But Here by Katie McGarry, On the Fence by Casey West, and Catching Jordan by Miranda Kennelly. Forgive me if I pronounce that name wrong too, okay? Anyway, another romance novel that I would like to read ASAP is Princess of the Silver Woods by Jessica Day George. It is a young adult fiction fairy tale retelling of Red Riding Hood, and it is book 3 of the Princesses of Westfallen series. And in that series, there are 3 books, which are far as the series goes, young soldier Galen saved the 12 dancing princesses and married Princess Rose. And then Poppy traveled to a faraway land and found love after another curse of her own. And now Princess Petunia has been kidnapped, so who will save her? Or will she save herself in the end? That remains to be seen. And what do I think of the series so far? I think the series so far is really awesome, and I just highly recommend it. And this is just coming from someone who lived on fairy tales when I was a kid. And The 12 Dancing Princesses was actually a favorite fairy tale from when I was a kid, although nothing tops Beauty and the Beast. I mean, if I read a book on Little Red Riding Hood or The Princess and the Pea, nothing will top Beauty and the Beast, which is maybe one reason why I love the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas so much. So anyway, I was in love with the series from the first page of book 1, and I would like to see more of Galen and Rose in the rest of the series. And I am wondering, will they play bigger parts in book 3? Again, that remains to be seen. And far as similar books go, we have Sun and Moon, Ice and Snow by Jessica Day George, The Amaranth Enchantment by Julie Berry, and Fairest by Gail Carson Levine. And finally, with the final book that I hope to read ASAP is Just Listen by Sarah DESSEN. It is a young adult fiction romance novel that is straight up romance, and it's a standalone, so it's also a really easy read. I've seen in reviews, and I figured, why not? I have the book on my Sarah DESSEN shelf right up there, so why not read it? And there are several other books by Sarah DESSEN that I have. I have almost all of them, and I'm waiting on a few Goodreads giveaways to see if I can win more of them. Anyway, a few of those books that I have and would love to read again are as follows. So now, in Just Listen by Sarah DESSEN, we have Annabelle, who is the girl who had everything once. Now she has no one until she meets Owen Armstrong, who is mysterious and offers so much, but she doesn't realize what it is yet, or so I have heard people say. What do I think of the book so far? I will admit I am not too far into the book reading-wise, but I've only read halfway through Along for the Ride, and I did finish that summer, and I loved every moment of it after it aged like fine wine. You can check that out in one of my other videos. But those books leave me wanting more from Sarah DESSEN, so with the quarantine this summer, I'm figuring why not read all the time? Anyway, these are all peaceful reads and generally not what I'm accustomed to because I read so much with fantasy and science fiction, like phasers from Star Trek or sword fighting from Lord of the Rings or whatever, but this is just amazingly written, and I have nothing bad to say about it presently. And as far as similar books go, we have The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han, Two-Way Street by Lauren Barnholt. Sorry, that was just a phone call. And then we also have My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick, which I am also very intrigued to read eventually. So, anyway, that is all for today, so if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button to show some support, subscribe to my booktube channel to get more videos like this, turn those notifications on, and have a great day, everyone!